According to a new allegation, they erased evidence, put up the picture full mask. This is going to be an interesting saga. So citing court documents made public this week, NBC News reports that voting machine company Smartmatic alleges Newsmax has destroyed evidence in the company's lawsuit against the right-wing news channel over false claims that Smartmatic helped rig the 2020 election. This is so ironic because we saw the Dominion lawsuit play out with Fox News on a very large scale. And all of these text messages from Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, emails, et cetera, got exposed in this process. So it looks as if Newsmax, under a similar legal theory of civil prosecution, they decided, allegedly, to simply get rid of the evidence. Now, the reason why this becomes a no-no is because typically before you sue, you send a document that tells the other party, hey, don't get rid of stuff. And if you do, it's going to be a no-no to the court. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. All right, so lawyers for Smartmatic allege Newsmax engaged in a cover-up by destroying text and emails of key executives that would have demonstrated knowledge that voting fraud claims being pushed by Donald Trump and his allies were untrue. Smartmatic says the deletions occurred after the network received notice to preserve evidence for the pending suit. Now, the reason why knowledge of the actual lie is important is because you have to establish, typically in cases like this where there's a high profile company or a company considered to be a public use company or in the public domain, you have to not only prove it's a lie, you have to prove that the lie was told outside of good faith, meaning it was a malicious lie, that you knew the truth and you still decided to engage in the false narrative. Now, for a private citizen, those rules are different. You just have to prove that it's untrue, regardless of if they believed it to be good faith or not, all right? So this is important and pivotal to the entire lawsuit. The lawsuit, just one of many major defamation cases filed by Smartmatic and Dominion Voting Systems against news organizations over false claims about voter fraud in the 2020 election. Most are still pending. Several may go to trial this fall, ensuring that Trump's claims about a rigged election in 2020 will continue to be a focus even as the next presidential election nears. Why are we here? Why are we here? We're here because of the lie of one man. You know, if Donald Trump would have said, you know, it was a close election, I lost. I appreciate the confidence voters put in me the first time, and I plan to run again. If he would have said something that simple, none of this would be. None of this would be present today. But one lie created an entire movement on top of that lie. They're not holding on to truth in their movement. Their movement is predicated on a falsehood. There's more. The potential payment damages to the plaintiffs are substantial. In 2023, just moments before opening statements in a Delaware courtroom, Fox News paid the voting machine company Dominion a settlement of $787.5 million over a similar false claims that it made on air. Clearly, there was knowledge that the claims were false. Smartmatic is suing Newsmax for defamation in Delaware Superior Court, the same court that handled the Fox Dominion case for unspecified damages. It has alleged the company promoted claims it knew to be false because it attracted viewers and was therefore profitable. Newsmax denies the allegations. The case is scheduled to go to trial in September. Put them up full mass. The new filing states specific text messages in which Newsmax CEO Chris Ruddy referred to Trump attorney Sidney Powell were deleted from the CEO's device. but were recovered by other witnesses during discovery. A frequent Newsmax guest, Powell was a source of false voting fraud allegations. The filing also alleges the network lied under oath about the existence of its own journalistic guidelines. They lied and said they had guidelines. They didn't have a damn guideline available. All right, they made it afterwards. Okay, in a statement, Smartmatic attorney J. Eric Connolly said, quote, Newsmax's misconduct goes beyond falsely accusing Smartmatic of rigging the US election. It also attempted to conceal evidence of his actions and failed to follow his own journalistic standards. Smartmatic's motion details numerous instances of evidence destruction, including incriminating emails and text from Newsmax executives indicating intentional spoliation. That's because they had a non-spoilage letter already sent to them. So the dynamic that's interesting is that the CEO erases his text messages according to the allegation, but whoever he was in communication with, they did not erase theirs. And so his text message or messages were recovered by way of the other party. So Newsmax spokesperson said in a statement, quote, Newsmax categorically, you know, when they use that SAT word, the lying, okay? Understand that. Denies Smartmatic's allegations, which are intended only to distract from Smartmatic's own misconduct, which includes Department of Justice claims it paid Philippine officials $4 million in bribes to be awarded election context there. Put the CEO up again. This is a go big or go home kind of guy, okay? In the response, they tell two more lies while being under subpoena in a trial coming up. NBC notes that Smartmatic is also suing Fox News for a smooth $2.7 billion over similar claims, with the trial set for early 2025. Fox denies the allegations. In April, Smartmatic settled a suit against One American News for airing false election fraud claims. They don't have any real money anyway. Dominion still has suits pending against the agencies, and both companies have filed suit against Powell, Rudy Giuliani, and Michael Lindell. They're broke too. We call that non-collectible. All right, so this is going to be a saga. But listen, once again, why are we here? The lie of one man. And all of these individuals, these cronies of Donald Trump, they tried to defend this lie. Giuliani lost his bar card, can't practice anymore, and selling cheap ass coffee. Powell, she's no longer representing anyone. You got to understand, Mike Lindell filed bankruptcy and still owes millions of dollars. He can't give away a pillow. So this is all because of them defending the lie of one man. Donald Trump is raising millions, have not given Giuliani, Powell, or my pillow man one penny at all. That's how much he cares about you. All right, David, at a point, brother, I can understand if we're both from Glenwood Road. All right, I'm from Glenwood. If we're from Glenwood, I'm gonna ride with you. But there comes a point where I have to understand that you're not riding with me. So why am I still riding with you? So I question, why is it that these individuals are still so gun-ho for Trump when Trump could care less about them?
Good question. A couple of things here. First of all, Chris Ruddy, the CEO of Newsmax, is very close with Donald Trump. He lives in Florida. Yeah. He operates out of there. He and Donald Trump are real tight. Also, Chris Ruddy looks at Newsmax as kind of like Fox News, except a bit more conservative and certainly much cheaper. And the one common denominator in all of this, which I think is sort of amazing, is that Chris Ruddy is a micromanager according to his own staff. If there's a guest he doesn't like, if there's a topic he doesn't like, if there's a report he doesn't like, he calls down to those junior level correspondents and producers, I'm told, and has things change. So he is literally has his fingers right in the middle of everything that's going on in the air. Again, he fashions himself as a conservative. He also has fashioned himself as a law and order conservative, which is particularly rich because it always seems that conservative media, they really demand you uphold the law. You have to follow the letter of the law and the law enforcement until it applies to them.
Yep.
And once they are being scrutinized, once they are being told, oh yeah, you have to follow the law, you have to follow this lawsuit requirement that you turn over all of your emails, and Christopher Ruddy allegedly tries to erase them, it sounds like there are people who work for Christopher Ruddy who don't like him, who are saying, hey, Smartmatic, I've got the emails you want, and hey, NBC News, you're not gonna believe the story I've got about Newsmax of all organizations deciding the law doesn't apply to us.
That's right. You make a hell of a point because obviously somebody dry snitching. That's the only way you're going to get that information out.